inspect the construction when they're constructed.
Okay.
And we also, I mean, we get some housing complaints too. So there are investigations, reports done on housing inspections, some lead paint determinations. We have 4, semi-public swimming pools that we inspect, recreational camps for children in the spring. A lot of time is taking up lately with emergency preparedness, emergency plans and drilling and meeting deliverables that the state requires from that grant.
What would you say the bulk of your time is spent on?
It's pretty much spread between all those things now, where at one time, I would say that probably 70% of my time was spent on on-site sewage treatment and disposal.
Previously?
Yeah.
But since 2008, since things kind of quieted down, what are we busy with?
Probably, I've been putting a lot of time into emergency preparedness.
There's been a lot of talk in the region about sharing services, and I know you don't want to talk about, put yourself out of a job, but.
Yeah, no, I
anything-
don't mind talking about it at all.
Yeah. What do you see other communities doing as far as economies of scale and trying to, share services? And is that something we could be looking towards or looking at, or not necessarily, and if not, why not?
It's not something that I or this Board of Health have looked at. Here in our Emergency Preparedness Coalition, we put together a proposal for a planning grant for Methuen, Haverhill, and Lawrence to get a planning grant and apply for an implementation grant for a regional Board of Health there. I know Reading's talked about going part-time with a number of different positions there. One of them is with the Board of Health, and I think they've approached Wakefield to see if they want to do anything in that vein, but Wakefield joined with Melrose some time ago, and I don't think anything's gonna happen with that.
As far as Reading,
As far
getting
as
it with
Reading
Wakefield?
getting in with them, yeah. But, the other surrounding communities around here, I don't see any of them looking to regionalize. I know some of the Board of Selectmen in Andover have talked about it, but I don't think there's anything happening there.
Is there a disadvantage, or where would the disadvantages be as far as, regionalizing or sharing some of these services, as far as meeting our community needs?
Well, from a public health standpoint, people that are in public health don't really look at it as a cost-saving measure. They look at it more as better delivery of services and being able to have programs, excuse me, and provide services that you're not previously providing, and also having a better trained workforce.
I know it's not easy discussing it. I appreciate your candor.
Any further questions? Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much.
Next budget is veterans. Number 26.
gentlemen. How you doing?
Hi, how are you, Sue?
Good, thank you.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Do you want me to start from line item to line item? Is that what we-
No,
Why don't you go over the high points, Sue?
go over the high points, then we'll dig down.
Well,
into
the high
those
point from
questions.
this department's perspective is actually the assisting all the veterans with the benefits. What I feel a lot of, not just in you folks in general, but a lot of people aren't aware of the amount of positions this department actually handles, areas that it handles. We work diligently with the veterans to assist them with the benefits for Chapter 115, which is for those that are financially in stress, be it the veterans themselves or spouses of veterans and their dependents. We also work with assisting them in medical situations as well. More on the idea of actually putting in place, I'm actually working on right now working on grants to assist for adaptive housing for those that are wheelchair bound. I've already put a stair lift in one of the homes. We do everything in our power between the internet and between all the VSOs in the state of Mass to try and find equipment, so to alleviate any of the financial burdens on our end. And that's actually an excellent resource on all of us. A lot of them, to try to alleviate the burden from our towns, we try to find other institutions, financial assistances to help them with getting additional medical help. If somebody's eligible for Mass Health, we work and put them in for Mass Health, as well as if they're under the Medicare program, then we would assist them with the additional prescription, with Prescription Advantage. I have, for instance, one case that he's totally incapacitated at this point, unable to work, several surgeries he's been going through, owned his own business. His insurance bill is almost $1,000 a month. I just assisted putting him into Mass Health, so to try and alleviate our end of it. The other thing that we work with is working with getting them hooked up on the Social Security, so it's not all the benefits under Chapter 115. So I've done quite a few cases on that as well. Start them on the Social Security, so that alleviates, again, balances out and helps. They may still be on the Chapter 115, but at least it's not as detrimental on our end. The outreach is heavy and highly anticipated and expected by the VA to actually do a lot of outreach, doing well checks on the seniors, visiting them in the nursing homes, doing well checks in their homes to make sure they are up to code on the health department's area. So that's kind of a crucial thing, because some of them do kind of like stray away and don't realize they can't get a wheelchair through certain areas of their home or a walker. So you have to make sure it's accessible for any emergency equipment that might be needed in the future. We assist with the Bedford medical applications as well. Due to the war, getting a huge influx of the young guys coming back from overseas with a lot of PTSD to deal with. And I'm actually seeing quite a few cases that are even hitting in the 60s and 70s, believe it or not, that they're starting to come in. be it from the times right now that are hitting them, and it's surfacing worse, harder on them, from seeing their counselors and that, but they're coming in and they're also in need of assisting on their end to get them the benefits, the compensation benefits, again, to help alleviate and balance things out. So, I'm working with pre-deployment and post-deployment. And the pre-deployment, actually, I just got back from a pre-deployment meeting on Sunday. And that really all ties in heavily as well, because with the pre-deployment, you need to keep in touch with the troops, you need to keep in touch with the families. If heaven forbid there was ever a situation that arises, you've already established that relationship with them to ease the burden on their end, work with their the spouses, the children, guide them into different areas for any kind of outreaching that they can use. Working on the death benefit filings as well. There's been cases that have actually reassessed the situation where there may have been asbestos, the veteran died of asbestos related causes, or there could have been Agent Orange situations that initially weren't attacked and found out through the VA that the medical evidence eventually came out to find that, so then you start filing for the DIC, dependency and indemnity help for them, for the spouses as well as for the dependents, and then there's the annuities too that they would end up filing for on that end, if it's found to be a service-related. The claims for the compensation, they can go as long as 48 hours into a case, if not more, depending how long they are. So therefore, my postage ends up going up, because when I start sending out the packages for those, I've literally sent out 4-inch packages of information, because they need the gathering of everything they've had on the outside as well. They get their own medical, the VA will get the medical records from the inside, but anything they've done on the outside obviously needs to be sent out. They look for letters to back them, pictures. It's just an array of items that they need, of evidence to support to substantiate what they're going after. We work with VASH Housing as well. VASH Housing is kind of like a Section 8. What it is, it's a voucher that for veterans in a situation where they are in need of housing. They're on the verge of being homeless, so the VASH Housing voucher would help them get into a housing, and then in turn you assist them with the employment situations as well, trying to get them back on their feet. We work with waivers through the VA. Had situations where the elderly have actually kind of overlooked something that was requested, and then they've gotten shut off from their pensions, and you end up assisting them with that, writing letters, pleading for them to, sending out any of the information that you can give them as far as their bank balances and, their financial situation, so that they can hopefully waive that and then reinstate them back into their pensions again. Again, assisting us on our end with the 115. We have to resubmit the documentation to them twice a year for all the Chapter 115 cases to keep them up to speed with what's going on. So that's a mandatory thing too. Then there's funeral assistance, obviously, for the families of KIA, any veteran assistance required on that end, and claiming, putting in filing applications for any of their markers for the grave sites. Updating any of the DD-214, the separation papers is also another thing that we're dealing with. Misspelled information, dates, medals that weren't put on there, and again, filing all the required documentation to show proof of that. Got a lot of bonuses too that we're dealing with, that the state handles. It's through the state. There's a welcome home